Spoiler warning. The following discussion will contain spoilers. We recommend checking out the movie first, then coming back to hang with us. But if you don't care about that, glad to have you here.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the 25 Days of Real Christmas, a series where we review some old and new holiday favorite films. My name's Kevin.
And I'm John.
And we are the Real Movie Guys. On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at Jingle All The Way. A father vows to get his son a Turbo Man action figure for Christmas. However, every store is sold out of them, and he must travel all over town and compete with everybody else in order to find one.
This movie is very
Close to home?
I feel like it's weird though too, because I remember when I first watched this movie and you kind of saw it and you were like, wow, this is so overdone, overdrawn out, with him looking for this Turbo Man doll and people fighting over it.
Think about what it's based on, right? So we're kids of the 90s, right? We were born late 80s, but we most of our quote unquote existence, I guess, would be in the 90s. There were two things that were very popular in the 80s and 90s. There were two big toys. In the 80s, we had the Cabbage Patch dolls. But the 90s for us, we didn't really want them. I don't think John wanted one. If he did, no judgments. Tickle Me Elmo, right? It was like the big toy. Remember that whole craze in the 90s?
I remember that.
Which ironically coincided around the same time this movie released. So people were kind of acting like this in Jingle All The Way. I know this is a totally outlandish film, but people were crazy like they are in Jingle All The Way.
And I also see people acting this way now with the
PS5?
PS5 and everything. You could just see that people
Walmart.
would do this. If they were giving out one of those balls and saying, "Hey, you have a chance to win this drawing," and they threw balls out, people would go this crazy for it.
I get it. Sometimes there's just things you go crazy for. Do they go this crazy? Almost, I want to say. Like I said, Walmart, like I was kind of hinting at, Walmart Black Friday. How many videos do you see? Maybe not this year in particular, 2020, the year of the coof. But, most of the other years, people are trampling over other people to get that cheap TV, right? That's regularly a thing, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's always a weird thing, too.
It is. It's a weird thing, but it's kind of what Christmas is, right? And the reason I think it works in its own strange kind of way is it's the perfect satire of just the craziness and merchandising of Christmas. Christmas is essentially just a year, the holiday for merchandising. Look at retail, right? Retail takes advantage of it. I'm not trying to turn this into retail's the devil kind of video, but it's what it is, right? From the beginning of the movie, it's all about getting the Turbo Man doll. Yeah, there's other subplots about family and, togetherness and making sure you spend more time. But it's not really about that overall, right? It's really kind of just mocking merchandising of toys and the holiday. For example, right, the Turbo Man in the beginning, they have a whole Power Rangers parody, which when we were kids, Power Rangers was huge.
Ever discs, anyone?
So right off the bat, they're pretty much making fun of the marketing on TV. Make sure you get your Turbo Man action figure. It was like us. Make sure you get your Power Rangers action figure. It was pretty much just saying that show's there to market to kids, and the kid, reacts that way.
Tell me, what do you want?
I want the Turbo Man action figure with the arms and legs that move, and the boomerang suitor, and the rock and roll jetpack, and the realistic voice activator that says 5 different phrases, including "It's Turbo Time!" Accessories sold separately, batteries not included.
Well, I'm glad you had to stop and think about it.
Jamie
Jamie
reacts.
Look at the Turbo Man.
His room is like Turbo Man. He's got Turbo Man pajamas. It's all he wants for Christmas, or he's going to be made fun of. He's the only kid that doesn't have the Turbo Man doll. That's what this is. This is just making fun of the merchandising of the holiday.
Man, where have you been? Don't you watch TV? We are being set up by rich and powerful toy cartels.
Oh, come
Now
on.
you got these big fat cats sit there using working class just like me and you. They spend billions of dollars on TV advertisement, and then they sit there and use subliminal messages to suck your children's minds out. And I know what I'm talking about because I went to junior college for a semester and I studied psychology, so I'm right in there. I know what's going on.
When you're young and a kid, right, there's always something that you got into. For me, it was Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, Transformers, all that stuff. You had the sheets to go with the figures. You had all the shenanigans going around. So it's relative to how we are now, I think. And I think that's why maybe this movie resonates, because as a parent, you want to do whatever you can to get your kid that toy they want. Like John, like if your son wanted a toy that bad, like it was the only thing he wanted, that's all he talked about, would you like go out of your way to try and get it no matter what?
I mean, I guess.
Would you stomp over people?
I wouldn't spend no $500 for it.
Would you threaten people with a mail bomb just to make sure? We'll get into that. We're going to talk about the mail.
I would chase after that little ball all the way down the steps.
Do you want to trade? Huh? No. Just give me the ball. I got it. Ow!
Sicko! Pervert! Get your hands off
I need the ball. I need the ball. I need that toy.
Yeah.
To go with the little children.
But I have to say, this movie, I think that's really what it does the best. It just really just makes fun of the holiday. You know, it really just pokes fun of how commercial we've become with merchandising. Another reason it works too are the actors. Now we have the great Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, let's talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger for a quick second. Arnold Schwarzenegger, you never really pick to play the straight man, right? You don't pick him to play like the normal everyday dad. And this movie kind of acknowledges that at times, right? There's scenes where he's like talking to Phil Hartman, Ted's character, and I think he says like, "Oh, what are you muscle-bound freak," or something like that.
You can't bench press your way out of this one.
And, like, they totally just like kind of like acknowledge it, right? Like, he's not the normal dad. Even I can't even take him seriously in the beginning of the movie where he's like, I think he sells mattresses. I'm like, Arnold Schwarzenegger is not on the phone talking to people selling them mattresses. That's what you're my favorite customer.
You are my favorite customer.
Well, what do you expect? You're my #1 customer. But don't you forget, you're my #1 customer. You're my #1 customer.
You are my favorite customer.
And
then he tells his wife, "You are my favorite customer."
I love it.
What?
I do.
Wait, I didn't mean it.
I know Chinese karate class. Don't worry. I'll meet you there. I promise. And don't forget, you're my #1 customer. Liz, look, I didn't mean that. Liz?
And that's part of it too. A lot of the lines in this movie are memorable, especially the one line. He's calling his wife to check on her, and then Ted answers the phone, Phil Hartman at the house, and he's like making cookies, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just taking her cookies out of the oven." He's like, "Put that cookie down."
Just tell her we'll be a few minutes late, but you shouldn't worry.
Oh, she won't worry. I mean, I'm here, and... Oh, these cookies! I gotta get the recipe from Liz.
Put that cookie down! Now!
Those
Classic.
are my cookies.
You find someone that doesn't know that line. They might not even know it's from this movie. I think a lot of people actually don't. I think they just know that Arnold Schwarzenegger says it. Instant classic line. Like I said, and you don't pick Arnold Schwarzenegger to be the straight man, but he does it in this movie. I mean, his acting's not really that great.
Did you tell Ted that he could put lights up in our house?
Howard, do you have any idea what time it is?
I know. You should have seen the traffic, and on top of that, I got a speeding ticket.
Don't explain it to me. It wasn't my karate class you missed.
Let's be honest, it's not. But I really enjoy his comedic timing. Like, he really has some really good comedic chops. It kind of reminds me of when he was in Kindergarten Cop, right? He plays like the straight lace. He's more of an action hero in that one. And they play a little bit with the action here on this. But, you know, he works as the straight guy, and I kind of like it. I know it doesn't make much sense, but I like Arnold Schwarzenegger as the lead. I can get behind him in this movie. Then we have Mr. 90s himself, Sinbad. Now, for the kids at home, Sinbad was a very popular person in the 90s. Is he now? Most of you probably don't know who he is. Let's be real. You don't know who Sinbad is, and that's okay. But Sinbad was around, right? He was in First Kid. I think it was like the one movie I remember him from. He was like a Secret Service agent. He had a million movies. Most of them, I don't honestly, I don't really remember most of them. I know I saw them. I know I remember seeing Sinbad, and then he just kind of disappeared. But he's great in this too. And like a fun fact between them, Sinbad and Arnold actually improvised a lot of their dialogue in this movie, and it kind of shows. They have a lot of just like simple conversations with one another.
Hey, sorry about whacking your toy store. You know, I got kind of caught up in the friendly spirit of competition.
Oh, that's all right. Don't worry.
But I was thinking you'd have done the same thing. And that's when I realized you and I, we're the same kind of person, ain't we?
I sort of doubt that.
I was thinking about that brouhaha at the toy store. I'm thinking maybe, we could join up as a team. Like Starsky and Hutch, like Johnny Quest and Haji, man. Like Bonnie and Clyde, like Ike and Tina. Well, maybe not Ike and Tina because she left. But maybe we could do it. Search and destroy. Divide and conquer. Me and you, man. What do you say?
And I think Sinbad helps Arnold kind of elevate his comedy a little bit because Sinbad's kind of a funny guy. He doesn't get too much credit, but I think he's pretty funny, and he worked a lot in this movie. He had a lot of really good scenes.
I got it. Here we go. He got two. Get the mailman. Right, go. Get him. He's lying. It's my ball. Randy Key.
He definitely did a good job in this movie. He was a very relatable mailman character.
Yeah, you kind of got it, right?
Who kind of got off work late, very angry, needs to get this doll
John.
too. That's right.
Like John, when he gets off work, I gotta get off work. He's like freaking out. No, we're all like that a little bit. We all get frustrated, especially around the holidays. I think we all get like super frustrated and stressed out. Sinbad's like that on steroids, and
Sinbad's like,
and his jokes
I'll
with
do anything.
Yeah, and the jokes with the bomb in the mail are by far.
You built a bomb?
No, I didn't have to build a bomb. Don't you read the news? Hundreds of these things come to the mail every day. I just kept one in case I ever needed it. So give me the doll. I'm gonna blow up everybody in this place.
Are you out of your mind?
I know it's stupid. Like, when you watch it, like, it's incredibly stupid. But at the same time, you gotta laugh at it, man. I think it's hilarious.
You are no different than the rest of those civilians, those common letter writers who make fun of my knee socks and my safari hat in the summer. Are you laughing at me? Huh?
Oh, Lord, no, not at all.
Mr. Ponytail Man, I know you. No. I know you're kind. You're the kind that puts a trash can in front of the mailbox, so I had to get out my Jeep, don't you?
No. Not true. I recycle.
Shut up.
Well,
Especially when it actually goes off.
This is nothing but a harmless Christmas package.
That was really a bomb? Just a sick world we're living in. Sick people.
That's really dark. That's some dark comedy, but it's still really fun. We also can't forget the amazing, the immortal Phil Hartman is in this movie. Phil Hartman plays the next door neighbor, Ted, who is the most sleaziest, slimiest person that would ever crawl in his way into your heart.
Ted, I need to speak to my wife. So could you get her on the phone, please?
I think she's in the shower, Howard. Do you want me to go check?
No!
Because he is seriously like the most vile person. I hated him a lot. Like, and you could picture a guy like him, right, being next door.
Howard, by the way, they say it may get icy later. You might want to wrap some chains around those tires.
Maybe you should wrap some chains around you.
What?
Right? Couldn't you see that? You could totally picture that kind of guy. I think as guys, I think we all know that kind of guy too.
Ted is the creepy guy next door.
And he has some great interactions, just his interactions with Rita Wilson are fantastic.
Why don't you go upstairs, take a shower? I'll keep an eye on the boys, finish up with the cookies.
Oh, no.
Go on. You deserve it.
Okay, but, listen for the oven
I
timer
know.
because of the,
Sugar cookies, bake 12 to 15 minutes till golden brown.
Yeah.
Ted's got everything under control.
He just plays off her really well, just like him advancing on her and she being like, I don't want any of that. I don't want any of what's going on there.
You deserve better, Lizzie.
Lizzie?
Someone you can talk to. A shoulder to cry on.
Again, it's Phil Hartman at his finest. Rest in peace. We talked about him earlier this month in Bad Santa. I miss him, man, because he could really play some characters. He was a complete bumbling fool in Bad Santa, and now we have him here, and he's just completely opposite. And there's also a couple other like little characters I thought we'd just touch on real quick. Chris Parnell, who's SNL famous. Chris Parnell will be in a lot of comedies later on. This was actually his like feature debut after being in SNL. He plays the store clerk who like makes fun of Arnold about the Turbo Man doll. He's like, "Oh, I gotta get your Turbo Man doll." He like bugs out. He's like the bug out guy face.
Where have you guys been? Turbo Man's only the hottest selling Christmas toy ever. But you know what? We got plenty of Turbo Man's faithful saber-tooth tiger booster.
Where's your Christmas spirit?
I always remember that line. I think that's great. Last person we should just quickly mention. He doesn't have a big role, but Jim Belushi is also in this movie. I'm a huge Jim Belushi fan, so he plays one of the mall Santas that are selling the bootleg Turbo Man action figures.
You want a Turbo Man for Christmas?
Forget it. I'm not gonna sit in your lap.
Hey, Chief, that's not my bag. Get it? But you know, little boy, with your attitude, I don't think I want to give you access to this. Tony, show him.
That was taken this morning.
You could see this happening today.
You could, minus
you could see all these mall Santas getting together.
Minus that other cameo and what ensues there. So they ends up Arnold wants to return the figure, and Jim Belushi's like, no, you can't have any of that. And then all these Santas come out, and they have a big Santa fight. Which again, totally ridiculous. I can totally get you not liking it, but you have to admire it for how crazy it is. They have a huge fight, and then a very young, I might say, WWE wrestler, The Big Show, shows up as the giant Santa.
I'm gonna deck your halls, bub.
It's just crazy, man. It's so ridiculous, but it works. What I would compare it to, now, John, I want to see if you agree with this. If someone were to ask me, what is Jingle All The Way? Like, what would you say is, what you would relate it to? I would have to say it's a live action cartoon. Does that sound about right? Like, I feel like that's what I'm watching. It's like a live action cartoon. Like, I could see this being animated and making just the same amount of sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Like that's really what this is. The action, zany, crazy, over the top for no apparent reason. Just everything super exaggerated. Like you said, like when they have the drawing lots for the Turbo Man doll and the ball's bouncing, he's chasing it all over the mall.
This is my ball.
Just insane, right? The whole thing is just insane.
From that to like the parade.
Then the parade. What the hell is that scene?
All of a sudden he gets all dressed up and everything, and they're like trying to tell him what to do.
Take a moment and speak for everyone when I thank you for filling in for Pete on such short notice. It was a total freak accident what happened at rehearsal, and we're confident that we got all the kinks worked out of the system. Oh, and you should know the doctor said Pete actually showed some brain activity this morning. Yeah, that's a really good sign.
And then he's like, at first he can't fly. Then all of a sudden, Jamie, I can fly now!
Jamie!
Gotcha! So I didn't know Chicago invented jetpacks. I'll have to remember that, for the future. And another reason why this works, it's a short movie. Well, it comes in about an hour, 29 minutes. That's not bad. It's quick, to the point, does what it needs to do. I think overall this works for the most part.
Yeah, I appreciate it being short too, because some movies try to draw themselves out longer just to make more film time, but it's never worth it.
Right, and this movie, it knows what it is, essentially, I think. It knows it's just zany and crazy. It knows it has a mission with the action figure. It knows what story it's telling. It knows it's just a satire. So in some regards, it doesn't overstay its welcome. I don't think it knows exactly what it wants to be. We got some negatives. First one I really want to talk about, Jamie. God, Jamie's so bad.
What's the matter, Jade?
It's just, I wish Dad could have been here, to see me fly and all. But he didn't come, and it's all my fault. He's mad at me. We had a fight on the phone, and I kind of yelled at him.
I feel bad, too, because that's Jake Lloyd. For people who don't know who Jake Lloyd is, he's Anakin Skywalker from the prequels. He wasn't good in that as little Anakin Skywalker. He's not good in this movie. He drags it down a lot, and his responses are just so wooden and terrible.
What would you know about keeping your promises? You never keep your promises. You never do anything you say you're gonna do, ever.
I didn't care about this kid at all. Like when he was climbing in the city, trying to get away from Sinbad's character, I was hoping he fell off one of those buildings. Like, get rid of that kid. You're fine. That's not Arnold's son. Jamie is not Arnold's son. But also what's very bad, the CGI, we have to point out, is just pretty terrible. I mean... it hasn't aged well at all. Even the practical reindeer that they tried to use or whatever they had going on there.
Nice, doggy. Nice.
Ted the reindeer. Yeah, he just doesn't look good, man. That's pretty bad. That's pretty horrifying.
Picked the wrong day. You started it.
And the Turbo Man flight scenes are kind of like gag reflex inducing. They're pretty they're pretty terrible. You know, it's hard to look past. I try not to, dank a movie too much on that, but I have to with this. They look terrible. And also, I know this is going to kind of like backpedal what I was saying a little bit earlier, but I got to just bring it up, and because it does affect the score in a way. So overall, I feel like the movie's a bit too insane. It feels like it's just going scene to scene at times, which leads to a weird like unevenness in tone. Like some of the jokes are really funny. Like the mall scene, I think, is really funny, and just his interactions with Sinbad overall. But then there's like really dark jokes with like Sinbad, like killing everyone with the bomb and like hijacking a parade, and I feel like it's so uneven in its comedy. Like literally the maybe pseudo drug dealing Santas, they kind of allude to that they're dealing more than just toys in that factory.
I know what you're thinking.
Oh, no. You have no idea.
It's just very uneven. It's like, I wonder if this movie wanted to be maybe an adult movie in some regard, and I think that maybe would have been made it a little bit better. Maybe if they went to like the adult comedy route, because I feel like it can't determine where it wants to be. And I've noticed that a lot with some of the holiday movies we've been watching. Not so much like Bad Santa, but movies like Christmas Chronicles, where they kind of lean heavier maybe into an adult picture, right? But they just don't go all the way because they're too afraid. They want to still stay family and kid friendly. I don't know. It's just something I noticed. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
Well, I also feel like a lot of the times when you think about holiday movies or Christmas movies,
right,
it always feels like, to me, it's always going to be like a family movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because you don't really see too many out there that's like not family holiday movies.
Sure.
But these definitely teeter on the line of I don't know what I want to be, and I'm not like any way particular,
Yeah, and I feel like, now do you agree with me where I think they should just pick a lane and stay in it? Like you should really commit more to one angle. Do you think they should have maybe? Do you think that would have made it better if they did that?
I feel like you always have to stay in one lane too.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're going to teeter-totter on something, then that's more of a way of you saying like you don't know what this movie really wanted it to be.
That'd seeing my way. That's interesting. Didn't expect that to go that way. Hey, it's a Christmas miracle, right? We are in the season. This movie, like I said, it's very short too. So I can excuse some of this, but it also does feel kind of rushed, right? I know that's kind of the point, right? It's supposed to be like a manic holiday sprint to the finish line, but I don't know. Overall, it just kind of feels rushed to me too. That's subjective, I think.
The fact that he runs out of gas.
Yeah, there's like a weird like lull in the middle of the movie, but I don't know if that affects my score or not. I'm just throwing it out there. Again, you can't deny the memorable lines we get. We got "Put that cookie down." That's fantastic. The reindeer scene is also another one of my favorite scenes where they have to name the reindeer. Not so much the whole radio station interaction, but the beginning of that scene. Because of this movie, I think I memorized all of Santa's reindeer.
Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen. Ha ha! Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen. Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen. Ha ha! I'm having a good time. Bye.
Thank you. Jingle All The Way. Thank you.
I'm gonna put you on the test now.
Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen. See? That's it. You remember it just because of that. They even have to look at that. That's pretty impressive, I know. Thank you, Jingle All The Way. Thank you for everything you've done for me for, this holiday season and the future. But I think we're at that point, though, where we're going to give our final scores. I'm going to give Jingle All The Way a B-.
I'm out all day, and he's in my house, putting up my star on my tree.
It's a fun movie. It's innocent. If you're interested in seeing, how crazy people can be during the holidays, can't really do better than this as far as a satire film. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Phil Hartman, Sinbad, they all nail it in this movie. They're fantastic casting. It's funny, if a little too crazy at times, but if you go into this just looking to have your brain shut off for a little bit and watch a crazy Austrian man chase after an action figure, you could do a lot worse. John,
Definitely.
Where do you stand with this film?
I'll give this movie a B.
Buddy.
I feel like it's got funny parts. It's entertaining. The creepy neighbor guy always seems even worse every time I watch it.
Yeah, he is a little cringe-inducing.
It always makes you think about like, hey, watch who your neighbors are. But all over, this is a good film, and I thought it was decent, especially for a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Like I said, it comes with a recommend from me. Sounds like it comes from a recommend from you as well. Like I said, Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, when he plays the straight man, it's kind of weird and off-putting, but it works. And again, this is a great movie you should watch with your family. You know, we said it should lean maybe more towards the adult, but since it kind of doesn't, it's a good family film. You know, watch it with your kids. I think you'll have a good time. So, John, where can the people find us at home?
You can find us over on YouTube. You can do Real Movie Guys on YouTube. You can go to our page, subscribe, like our channel, hit the notification bell. You can get notified when we put stuff out. We also have big things in the future planned too. So you can also follow us on Twitter at TheReelMovieGuy on Twitter. You can also listen to us on many podcasting platforms such as...
Yes, for your listening pleasure, we are also available in And for your listening pleasure, we are also available in podcast form at iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Overcast, Breaker, Radio Public, and Pocket Casts. Be sure to give us a listen at any of those fine places. If you already are right now, hey, greatly appreciate it. Just search out Real Movie Guys. We should pop right up. Thank you all again so much for joining us for this episode of The Real Review. My name's Kevin, that guy over there, he's John. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. And don't forget to tune in all this month as the holiday festivities continue during the 25 days of Real Christmas. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. We'll catch you next time. See you.